Ever imagine trading in, like, your Texas boots for a tiara?
Not exactly my everyday fantasy, but I'm intrigued.
Well, hold on to your hats because that's exactly what Rita Carpenter did.
Rita Carpenter.
Yeah. Went from rancher's daughter to, get this, an Italian princess.
Okay, now you've got my attention. A princess. How did that even happen?
Well, that's what we're diving into today. This woman, Rita Boncamani Ludovisi, led a life that's, well, more captivating than any fairy tale I've ever heard.
And I'm guessing there's more to it than just a princess title, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about a Roman villa, family drama, and a fight over an inheritance that would make even the most dramatic soap opera blush.
A villa, you say? Sounds like we're about to step into some serious history.
Oh, you have no idea. Think secret passageways, priceless art, even letters from Marie Antoinette herself.
Now, that's the kind of deep dive I signed up for. So, where do we even begin with a story like this?
Let's rewind all the way back to her roots, the Texas ranch where it all began. Turns out, little Rita was quite the tomboy. She was riding horses and, like, chasing cattle before she could even write her own name.
It's amazing how those early experiences can shape a person, isn't it? I mean, to go from a ranch in Texas to becoming an Italian princess, that's quite a journey.
Talk about a culture shock. But even with all that open space, she was a bright kid, skipped 2 grades, ended up being the youngest in her class.
I bet that wasn't easy. Being the youngest often means having to work harder to prove yourself.
Definitely adds a layer of, like, resilience. And that resilience would definitely come in handy later in life. After graduating with honors from the University of Texas, she jumped headfirst into politics, first in Texas and then in D.C., became a respected political strategist working behind the scenes.
So, from cowgirl to political insider, what a transformation.
And this is where things take an interesting turn. She met John Jenneret, a Democratic congressman from South Carolina, quite the character, and let's just say their relationship raised a few eyebrows,
A Democrat and a Republican strategist. That's definitely mixing things up.
especially back then. But she fell for him, hard. Quit her job to marry him, putting love before career.
It takes guts to walk away from something you've built for yourself, especially in a field like politics.
It does. But as we know, their fairy tale romance was short-lived. The scandal surrounding their marriage, his involvement in that abscam bribery scheme, it all came crashing down.
Abscam, a real turning point in political history. It must have been incredibly difficult for her to navigate that public scrutiny, especially as the wife of someone at the center of it all.
Imagine being thrust into the spotlight, but not for the reasons you'd ever want. It had to be a defining moment for her, shaping how she viewed, I don't know, like power, expectations, everything.
Absolutely, it forces you to confront who you are and what you stand for when the world is watching your every move.
And she didn't shy away. Instead, she did something, well, pretty unexpected. Posed for Playboy, of all things. Wrote an article called The Liberation of a Congressional Wife.
Wow, now that's a bold move, especially in those days.
It was a statement, for sure. Talking about the pressure she faced, the hypocrisy she saw in Washington, the expectations placed on women, especially women in power.
It's fascinating how she used that platform, a platform often associated with a very specific image, to talk about serious issues. It challenged the status quo, made people think.
It certainly got people talking. Some called her a feminist icon, others criticized her choices, said she was playing into the very stereotypes she was trying to fight.
It's a complex legacy, that's for sure. And it speaks to her willingness to take risks, to challenge conventions, even if it meant courting controversy.
And that wasn't even the end of it. She wrote a tell-all book, My Capital Secrets, became a bestseller. Even dabbled in acting and real estate. She was constantly reinventing herself.
It seems like she had this drive to defy expectations, not content with staying in one lane, always pushing boundaries, testing limits.
And it was through real estate, of all things, that she met Prince Niccolo Boncomani Ludovisi, a man who would introduce her to a whole new world, one filled with European aristocracy and centuries of history.
And that's where a Roman villa comes into play. It sounds like her life was already pretty full before the prince and the villa entered the picture.
Oh, this is just the beginning. We haven't even scratched the surface of the inheritance battle, the family drama, the fight over this incredible piece of history.
Buckle up, because it sounds like things are about to get really interesting.
You can say that again. This Roman villa wasn't just a home. It was a treasure chest of art and history, a legacy passed down through the Ludovisi family, a family practically woven into the very fabric of Italy itself.
From Texas ranches to Italian palaces, what a life. I can't wait to dig deeper into this story. Talk about a story fit for the big screen, right? Texas, Italian royalty, a villa packed with history, and now a battle over it all.
It really does make you wonder what secrets those walls hold.
Speaking of secrets, we've touched on the villa itself, but what made it so special? I mean, besides being, well, a villa in Rome.
Oh, it was like stepping back in time. Picture this. You're in the heart of Rome, not far from the Trevi Fountain, but you step through these gates and suddenly you're surrounded by these lush gardens.
Like something out of a Renaissance painting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just the beauty of the place, it was the history
Yeah.
that like oozed from every corner.
Mhm.
You could practically feel the centuries whispering around you.
And the art. I mean, we've talked about the Caravaggio ceiling, but there was so much more, right?
Oh, absolutely. Works by Guercino, another master of the Baroque period, known for his use of light, the way he captured movement and drama.
It's incredible to think these masterpieces weren't tucked away in some museum, but just hanging on the walls of this villa.
Like, can you imagine having a Caravaggio in your dining room?
I can barely imagine having a print in my living room. But wait, there was even more than Caravaggio and Guercino, wasn't there? What about Domenichino?
Oh, yeah. His frescoes, just another layer of artistic richness. And then there's the possibility of, get this, sculptures attributed to Michelangelo.
Michelangelo. Seriously, that would be an unbelievable find.
Still debated among art historians. But if they're confirmed, wow, talk about a historical jackpot.
And we can't forget those letters from Marie Antoinette. It's mind-boggling how they ended up in a Roman villa.
It really speaks to the Ludovisi family's connections, their influence. I mean, these letters, they offer a window into pre-revolutionary France, the whispers of the court.
What a tangible piece of history. But I'm curious about those stories Rita told about the villa itself. The secret tunnels, even a ghost.
Right. She was convinced there were hidden tunnels, passageways undiscovered beneath the villa, even claimed to have seen the ghost of Caravaggio himself wandering the halls.
Maybe he was checking up on his ceiling. Whether those stories are true or not, they add to the mystique.
Absolutely. But beyond the ghost stories and hidden treasures, there's this powerful energy in a place that's been inhabited for centuries. A place where history has literally seeped into the walls.
And that's what Rita was so passionate about preserving. It wasn't just about the money, the prestige of owning this place. It was about safeguarding a piece of history.
She poured her heart and soul into restoring the villa, working tirelessly to, repair the damage, bring it back to its former glory.
Sounds like a monumental task. I can't imagine the red tape involved in restoring a national monument in Italy.
It definitely wasn't easy. She faced opposition from all sides, people who disagreed with her methods, and of course, the constant tension with Niccolo's sons.
Ah, yes, the sons. A classic clash between those who want to preserve the past exactly as it is and those who see the potential for adapting historical spaces to modern needs.
A tough balance to strike, for sure. Rita believed that to truly preserve the villa, it needed to be brought back to life, make it accessible to the public, generate income to fund its upkeep.
A practical approach, but one that probably didn't sit well with everyone, especially those who saw the villa as their family's legacy.
Especially Niccolo's sons. They had their own ideas about how the villa should be managed, and they weren't afraid to voice their opinions.
I can only imagine those family dinners. But it wasn't just about management styles, was it? There were cultural differences, personality clashes, maybe even some resentment towards Rita as an outsider who married into their family.
It was a perfect storm brewing, waiting to erupt. And when Niccolo passed away, well, that storm hit with a vengeance.
And the battle for the villa began in earnest, pitting Rita against her stepsons, each vying for control of this historic Roman estate. Talk about high stakes, right? I mean, this wasn't just about money. It was about legacy, history, and the future of this incredible villa.
And Italian inheritance law, especially when you're dealing with a property like this, it's a labyrinth.
Layers upon layers of regulations, considerations that go way beyond just, like, who's named in the will.
So it was more complicated than just Rita versus the sons.
Oh, much more. You've got the villa's status as a national monument, the Italian government's role in its preservation, the financial realities of maintaining a place like that.
It sounds like a lawyer's dream, or maybe their nightmare.
Probably a big bit of both. But in the midst of all this legal wrangling, you had Rita arguing she was the best one to manage the villa.
Drawing on her experience with the restoration, her vision for its future.
Right. While the sons, they countered with their family's long-standing connection to the villa, their desire for a more, let's say, traditional approach.
It became this battle of narratives, each side claiming to be the true guardian of this historical treasure.
And the media, they ate it up. Every legal maneuver, every accusation, it was a headline waiting to happen.
I can only imagine the pressure Rita was under. I mean, she'd poured so much of herself into that villa, not just her money, but her time, her passion.
It was her legacy on the line as much as the villa's.
And in the end, she lost. The court ruled in favor of Nicolo's sons. She was evicted from the villa back in 2023.
A heartbreaking ending to a chapter that was filled with so much hope, so much dedication.
But even after that loss, she didn't stay silent. She wrote a book about her experiences, The Princess and the Palazzo, sharing her love for the villa, her belief in its importance.
A testament to her resilience, her refusal to let this defeat define her.
So what about the villa now? What's its fate?
That's still a bit of a mystery, to be honest. Nicolo's sons, they've said they want to continue preserving it, but there have also been whispers about selling it to a private buyer.
Oh, wow. So the story isn't over yet.
Not by a long shot. The Italian government is watching closely. They have a huge stake in what happens to a national monument like that.
It's like history is holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next.
It is. And Rita's story, it's just one chapter in the long and fascinating life of this villa. Her passion, her vision, they've left an indelible mark, even if her time there has come to an end.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Mm.
About the legacies we leave behind, the things we fight for, and the power of places that hold centuries of stories within their walls.
And that's what makes these deep dives so captivating. They remind us that history isn't just dates and names in a textbook. It's about real people, their passions, their struggles, and the places that become intertwined with their stories.
Thanks for joining us on this journey, exploring the life of Rita Buoncomani Ludovisi, a woman who went from Texas to Tiara, leaving her mark on a Roman villa and on history itself.
And for our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, because history is full of surprises just waiting to be uncovered. Who knows what fascinating stories we'll unearth next time on The Deep Dive.